Hello and welcome to Talk Tech. I'm Kristen White, and here with me on the show I have Aaron Levy, the co-founder and CEO of Box.net. So tell me about your company.
Sure. So we founded Box.net about 3.5 years ago as a simple way to put content and files online so they can become accessible and shareable in any kind of format from any computer, any device. And it was designed specifically with the idea of you need to have granular control over where you can access your files from and who you want to be able to share with. And so we launched Box.net as a way that you can get to your files and data from anywhere you are.
Okay, so what are kind of some of the features of your site?
So we have a completely web-based interface, so we made it very simple and uniform in that you can share your files with any other person or individual. And we do that because, again, we focus on the web browser and the web experience, so that way anyone can log into Box.net, whether you're on a PC or whether you're on a Mac or Linux. And once you put your files online, we make it then easy to share those files with other people, as well as share it with other applications and services.
So what does the back end of your, basically of your site look like in terms of, do you have your own storage clusters or do you use something like Amazon S3?
Right, so we use our own storage clusters. The application itself is proprietary that we built on open source technologies.
Okay.
And we actually opened up that the application side about a little bit less than a year ago with our OpenBox API. And so what that does is enables developers as well as other application providers to take files or data that's on Box.net and open it or use it within their own application. So we partnered with guys like eFax, Zoho, Picnic, EditGrid. These are all different applications that you can then interact with your Box.net files.
So like Zoho or Salesforce, are they actually, who's doing the development?
Right, so in Zoho's model, what we did is, Zoho has an API, and we have an API, so we build a module which enables those two APIs to connect to each other.
Oh, I see. So now you've recently made a big announcement about Dell, basically, that you'll be kind of packaged with their Inspiron Mini laptop.
Yes.
So tell me about that.
Yeah, so that's really exciting for us because the Inspiron Mini is really telling the story about cloud computing and mobile access. And so Dell's sort of whole positioning on this product is you should have a mini, transportable mobile laptop that's very thin and lightweight that you can take anywhere. And this is going to be a great laptop for students and travelers and business people, anyone that needs to be on the road or on the go or wants a cost-effective way to do computing. And so Box.net is a part of that story because we're providing the online file storage or the file sharing and collaboration component to that. So we expect this to be a great relationship with Dell, that we can eventually expand into other areas that as well make sense for Box.net and Dell.
Sure. So how did you go about forming that relationship? A lot of startups out there would love to know how they get a deal with someone like Dell. So how did you do that?
Yeah, well, it was, a lot of different factors came into play here. We've again been in the industry for a long enough time that we've been seen as a leader. We have nearly 2 million users on the network right now. And so we've proven ourselves in terms of the demand and the volume that we're storing and enabling. So a mix of that, our technology, I think we're backed by reputable investors, and I think overall it told a very good story for Dell, and so we were able to build this relationship over the past year or so.
From a user's perspective, is Box.net just as useful as kind of having their own hard drive? Like if someone purchases the Inspiron Mini laptop, they're giving up a lot of disk space. So they might see that as a risk, but then there's the Box.net option. But is it really as useful to them as having their own hard drive?
Well, yes and no. So I think what you'll see with the Inspiron Mini is again this new sort of direction of where a lot of folks are going. So we saw the announcement of Google Chrome, and overall this is telling the story of it's not so much about your local storage or your local applications, it's about what do you have access to on the web and how well do those web applications perform.
Sure.
So I think what you're going to see is eventually as hard drives get cheaper and cheaper, sure, your computers will come with 500, maybe a terabyte of storage, but that's actually not going to be that relevant because all your data that you really need access to, whether that's your Facebook photos or your documents or PowerPoints on Box.net, that's going to be hosted by the remote guys. And so it's not so much about your local storage as it is how easy is it to access your web or remote storage. And so that's kind of what we're enabling on the Inspiron Mini.
Okay, so are there any concerns with downtime? A lot of times, people have trouble with the internet on their end, and they can't get to their files, and their files might be very important, and if it was on their local hard drive, they can access them. So what would you say to someone who has those concerns?
That's a very fair concern. We would do our best to make sure that downtime isn't on our end. So we have multiple layers of redundancy and security, both on our network, on our hardware, and our software. So usually that won't be the case that we're creating that problem. But yes, your internet can go offline, or you can be in an area without a lot of access. I think what we're looking forward to is a world where you have ubiquitous access to internet, and you're always connected. And I think there are a lot of companies and a lot of startups that really are relying on that type of trend, and I think it's something that we're seeing. But in the meantime, there are really interesting possibilities around Google Gears, Adobe Air, as well as building into the actual desktop that can help solve these problems.
So now users can actually edit documents and photos and all of that just right on the Box.net side. They don't need a local copy on their hard drive at all.
Correct. Right.
Okay.
So we use Zoho's technology as well as EditGrid and Picnic, which enable you to edit different documents or file types online. We even have a partnership with Autodesk, which enables you to load CAD files directly in your web browser. So this is really, again, taking this trend of, a lot of people don't have CAD software on their local computer. But if you're going to send someone a large, DWG file, for instance, and you want to be able to load that up, Autodesk is doing that processing for you in the cloud, and that's really powerful.
Okay, that's great. And that's pretty quick? There's no issues with lag or anything like that?
There's going to be, latency anytime we're transferring two files between, two different networks, but I think overall the user experience is probably faster than what you'd have if you were to load up CAD software on your local computer.
So how do you differentiate yourself from other kind of file storage companies that are out there? There was XDrive, iBackup, and many others that often that have a lot of the same functionality. You can upload files, store them, you can share them by passing on a link. A lot of the same things.
Sure. So first, again, I'll reiterate that we have nearly 2 million users today, and so I think that kind of helps show that we have done something differently from our competitors, and both people that have come before us and people that have even started up while we've been around. I think some of it might go back to why we started the company in the first place. Again, we didn't start the company because we thought that there should be a hard drive on the web. We started the company because we had a problem. And so the way we solved that problem was by putting hard drives on the web. And so throughout the whole process of creating the company and through designing the product and making sure that it was easy to use and that it was answering real problems, I think we built a product and a company around a formula that really helps and solves these problems. So again, things like sharing and collaboration and openness and making sure your data can be used in other applications. These are all real world problems that have nothing really to do with being a web hard drive, right? They really expand beyond that and solve problems around sharing and collaboration. And what I'll add is that that kind of took us into a new segment, which was around business collaboration and enterprise sharing, which is again a core part of our business model. And I think that's also what's enabled us to succeed and thrive, is because we're not just expecting that consumers will pay for this technology. We actually see a lot of success with businesses and enterprises adopting Box.net.